to bring to the stage or the microphone um, our first speaker. And I'll just courtesy demands that I read his profile. So just to give us a background idea of who he is. Okay. So our first speaker is a renowned Nigerian banking and economics professional and current managing director and chief executive officer of Sterling Bank, a leading national sense commercial bank and Co. in 1996. He joined Sterling Bank in November 2003 as the group treasurer and the role he held this role rather until October 2011. He then transitioned into the double roles of head, interim management, and integration director, where he managed the acquisition and integration of Equatorial Trust Bank into Sterling Bank. In April 2018, he was announced as the chief executive officer of Sterling Bank. Under his leadership, Sterling was more than doubling the previous financial year's returns. His interest, now this is the part that interests me the most. I was speaking with Victor, and when Victor mentioned this to me, I was like, wow, so much drive and passion. Now, his interests revolve around youth empowerment and economic development, with grand ideas on key sectors to drive economic development and prosperity in Nigeria. Now, this has actually guided the design of the heart. Now, I'm going to unfold the heart. So repeat after me, say the heart. Thank you. So I just needed to be sure that you're following. All right. So the heart there stands for health, education, agriculture, renewable energy, and transportation strategy for Sterling Bank, serving as a catalyst for the selection of sectors for investment for the bank outside of traditional businesses. He is also passionate about environmentally sustainable business practices, supporting and participating in initiatives that promote green practices and protect the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, please join me to make welcome to the microphone the CEO of Sterling Bank, Mr. Abubakar Suleiman, for his keynote address, as he will be speaking on why we are here. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
I think I'm just going to copy note a page from him and just tell everybody to look left, look right. And after about 5 minutes, I'll come and sit down with you guys. Because it seems to work like magic. Good morning, ladies, gentlemen. It's really an honor to be here for many reasons. The first one is that I'm actually not qualified to be standing in front of people launching a blockchain foundation. I've absolutely nothing in my profile that suggests that I know what you guys are talking about. So to that extent, I think I'm grateful for the opportunity to be part of something new and something new and something potentially groundbreaking and life-changing. I have the honor of getting a few invitations by young people that are trying to do stuff. I would say on the average, I would get maybe 2 to 3 invitations a month. Usually they're looking for some financing, but more often than not, they're just looking for adult supervision. And when they come to me, they come with incredibly powerful graph. The market size is 7 trillion, and they talk about their growth, which has been double-digit growth month on month. Never mind that it started from 100, and now you're at 1,000, you have posted incredible growth. But to be honest, many of them come to me trying to convince me that I can become investing in them. And while I'm not rich, and by no means I'm not hungry. So when you come to me and what you're selling to me is how I'm going to become rich, and you're looking for 10,000 investment, I'm thinking to myself, maybe I know how to make money more than you do right now. So it's not as compelling. Um, when I first heard from Victor and later from Ernest, we had a conversation that circled around a purpose. There has been no point in time that these young men have shown me any roadmap to wealth. Never. They've never sat down to say to me, this market, this is the profit, or we're going to build a unicorn. Never. So I was immediately intrigued, especially by young people who at this stage would be more interested in more interested in proving themselves that they too can build a big and a great company. So I started to talk to them. What I realized was that they had articulated the purpose. They understood the place of Africa. They recognized that unless something is done differently, we're about to enter into another era where resources increasingly would be diverted or continue to be diverted from Africa for the wealth of others. Effectively, the way human resources was diverted from Africa centuries ago and the way commodities have been diverted from Africa over the last century, our new resource, which is going to be data, and the ability to utilize that to make decisions would also be diverted. So I was told. So when they said I was the first person to become the advisor, I was so excited I didn't want to show them that it was an honor. So why am I here today? I'm here today because I found people who have found a purpose that is bigger than myself and whatever I thought I was doing. What I see when I look forward with these guys is much bigger than anything that I'm doing right now. And to that extent, if there's anything I can do to enable it, I would do it. Now, the question that we are here to answer is a question of what constitutes value. For me, when I look deep into every conversation we are having here today, it is down to how is value created and therefore who controls value. I said to people that the cost of printing $100 bill and printing a 100 naira note are not very different. The reason the value behind them are very different is the trust that is put behind each of them. In other words, when we started at 1 naira to $1, we were both making a promise that each of those papers are what the equivalent of what $100 could buy, 100 naira at that time. But increasingly, people started to distrust the promise behind the naira note. And as that trust evaporates, it becomes worth less and less until we're where we are today. And the trust is, there are two conversations around trust. One is, what is the actual value in the promise? The second one is, what is your ability to communicate and guarantee that the actual value behind the Nigerian currency, to my mind, is not in any way connected to the paper we issue. When the Nigerian government makes a promise, the value of that promise is probably way superior in actual terms because it is backed by 200 million human beings that represent some value. It is backed by all the natural resources that we have. It is backed by being the largest economy in Africa. There's so many things that goes behind the promise. But somewhere between that actual value and what government has communicated is a total loss of value. And this loss of values come from two things. One is there's the lack of completeness. So when you want to measure Nigerian economy today, first and foremost, you measure its GDP. Two things are immediately wrong. The GDP is the revenue that was generated in that year. It is not the capacity of the country to generate revenue, right? So if you install a factory that has the capacity to generate 100 tons of commodity, if you do a ton, that's your GDP for the year. That factory cannot be valued based on the 1 ton that you've delivered. It has to be valued based on its potential. Now, there is no way, anywhere, that there's any economic measurement for the potential of a country. Yet when you borrow, when you make promises, you're making promises against all of that potential. That is what you're worth. So there's one conversation. The second one, obviously, is one of accuracy. When your measurement is incomplete, then clearly the value communicated is incomplete. So I'm going to run away from the microeconomics lecture on what is happening to Africa and go back to the issue of trust and how increasingly the world is moving to new ways of establishing trust. What makes this so important? It's that whereas the previous one was based on a promissory note, the only way you establish value was on a promissory note, meaning your fiat currency. The new opportunity allows you to establish trust based on all manners of valuable things that you can present in a way that is verifiable. So if you, for instance, were Nigeria, take Lagos. Lagos can take 100 hectares of land today, place it in a vehicle, and immediately establish economic value worth 100,000 hectares of land instantly by simply doing the legal work to ensure that you've taken that away from the Lagos Authority, and therefore instantly that amounts to 100,000 hectares of value of land. That is the way you can begin to establish trust based on what you have. So the fiat currency, the era of the fiat currency is gone. But I do not believe they are moving to the era of currencies that is not backed by anything. I think the true era is that of different types of values and trust that is backed by something. And of course, it moves you to the idea of then trade. And why trade is important in the conversation around the blockchain foundation is that every item that you have is worth something depending on where you're standing. Personal example, I took a road trip about a month ago, went to Ondo. Of course, if you go to Ondo, you must eat pounded yam, right? So I went to the best pounded yam. There's actually a secret pounded yam trade in the Southwest. If you know it, you know it. Um, and if you don't, well. So I go there, three of us, we order, of course, world-class pounded yam with some amazing soup. I ate a particular herbal soup I had not eaten before called Bantu. When we finished with goat meat and 3 bottled water, we were given a bill and we were served. So it's not self-service. We were given a bill of 2,100. Then I started to crack my mind. What is 2,100? 2,100 was $5. $5, three adult. This is specialty dishes served. Now try to eat the same meal in Lagos and then try to eat the same meal in New York. Same food, different value. Why am I giving this example? The opportunity that the blockchain offers us is to begin to harmonize the value of real stuff across various jurisdictions. Good example is that there is a bag of grain in a village somewhere, and the bag of grain is worth 2,000. And I know that the logistic cost to get the bag of grain from that village to Lagos is 500 per bag. There is no reason why that bag of grain should not assimilate or assume the same value as this value in Lagos. And until you understand that the root of poverty for us in Africa is that differential in value, you would not understand how powerful this can be. Effectively, if we can use tech to reduce the distance in value, what we can then do is we will enrich those who have constantly received less value and hopefully elevate them as a whole, not individually, but holistically. Entire communities will become richer. Suddenly, that $5 food, which is equivalent to $50 in the US, my exchange rate stopped being 500 to the dollar. It becomes something much more meaningful. So I'll round up by saying, I don't know tech, but I know poverty, and I know the things that perpetuate poverty. And when I see something that has a chance at eliminating poverty, I will dive in. I haven't talked trade and what it can do. But once you understand that value can be harmonized across physical geographies and what I rather call physical barriers, then you understand trade indeed can almost become instantaneous. And when that happens, apart from the fact that you then find that income start to go much longer because effective trade will reduce the cost of living. What you also find is that the market to which people produce into will suddenly become enlarged. So when those young men come to me to present their PowerPoint, they will now have a much larger market sizing, and then they will be promising me 5 times return on money by the end of the year. So we are here today for something truly great, and I'm grateful to the team for the sacrifices. The word bootstrapping took a different meaning when I saw what these young people have done. And I would round up by saying I'm eternally committed to doing everything within my power to make this a success. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening. And when you can make it, follow me on the Pounded Yam Trail.